my journey from dreadlocks to a bald head. First and foremost, thank you guys for checking out this video. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. So my journey from having dreadlocks to going bald started in the year 2013, 2012, 2013, somewhere around that time frame. So what ended up happening was I was offered a job and they were willing to pay me X amount of dollars per hour, which was more money than I'd ever made at that point in my life. So I'm like, oh wow, they're offering me this. Like, okay, with this type of, I was still living with my parents at the moment, and I just took it as, okay, wow, this is a good amount of money that they're offering me. So basically they were saying, okay, am I willing to cut my hair? I had dreadlocks back then. And I'm like, okay, cool. I was with my girl at the time, and I knew that I loved her. I knew that I wanted to have a future with her. I wanted to marry her one day and things like that. I wanted to get out of my parents' house, save money and start living on my own, and things like that. So I was like, okay, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. So I ended up cutting off my locks. Some people disagree with it, blah, 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 whatever. Skipping over that part. So I ended up getting the job, and I did cut my locks off. And what ended up happening was my barber, I had a great barber. He ended up telling me when he cut off my locks, he said, Corey, you got a lot of thinning up here, right? And I wasn't familiar with that type of language. I'm like, thinning, what is that? What is he talking about? So I just kind of blew it off. Like, okay, so he cut my hair. I looked at it. I'm like, okay, oh, this looks nice. Looks okay. Looks good. Okay. So then I get home. And I didn't notice it, but I got home and my mom, she was like, okay, that's a nice haircut, son. I'm surprised you cut your locks, this, that, and the other. So I'm like, yeah. And then she she saw me again and she looked at me and she says, oh, like, you kind of miss a spot. Like you kind of thinning up there. I'm like, he just said the same thing. Like, what does he mean by that? So I'm like, at that point, I really look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, like, whoa, I kind of see what you mean. So I'm thinking that my barber at the time, maybe he missed a few spots. And I'm like, nah, this can't be. Like, he always had me crispy. He always had me looking right. Like, I don't think he messed up on me this time. I don't know about that. So I'm like, but I'm seeing what my mom is seeing. So I'm like, dang, like, I do have some thinning up there. It is some spots that don't match the rest of my head or whatever. So I'm thinking, okay, all right, maybe it's just a coincidence or whatever. Maybe this is just a thing. I've had my dreadlocks for so long, I cut them off. Maybe it's some weird thing going on with my head or whatever. So then my sister saw it. She was kind of joking about it and stuff like that. I'm still kind of blowing it off. I'm seeing what they're talking about, but I'm still kind of blowing it off and things like that. And then other people started telling me, and I'm like, man, like, goodness, like, what's really going on? So anyway, so I ended up noticing that, yeah, my hair is thinning. So what I started to do, I started to take minoxidil. I started doing biotin shampoo and other biotin products and things like that. And this is looking back at it, if I could do it all over again, like let's just say I have my dreadlocks today and I cut them off tomorrow, and I see that I'm thinning, in the front part of my hair and in the crown. If I could do it all over again, I would just cut it all off right then and there. So I went through the whole stage of, being in denial and things like that, trying to camouflage my bald spots and my thinning spots and things like that. It got to a point where I was using Topics, the little hair fibers that you put on your thinning area. So I would put the Topics right here and put it right there and, kind of brush it in, smooth it in, and it would look really good. It would look like my real hair. The only thing is I would have to keep a low haircut. So when we got married, when me and my girlfriend got married, my barber hooked me up. I was crispy. He put some of the Topics in. Nobody could notice it. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be bald when I get married. I get used to it's immature, whatever, blah blah blah. So, but yeah, for a while I was using the Topics. The only thing with the Topics, you start sweating, you working out, you playing basketball, things like that. You start thinking about it dripping down your head. You think about all that goofy stuff. But just looking back at it, I would definitely just take the T outliners like I do now. I cut my own hair now and just cut it all off, get it bald, line up my beard, call it a day. That's what I would do today if I could do it all over again. So you may be going through something, you may be balding, you may be thinning and things like that. And if you're like me, you're not really comfortable with that. You're surprised by that and things like that. And what I would suggest to anybody, I can't tell anybody what to do, but what I would suggest to anybody through my experience, just embrace it. People are going to say what they're going to say. People won't joke. People might look at you like, hey, you just had long hair. When I saw you yesterday, now you're bald or now you're thinning or whatever. Just embrace it. People are going to say what they're going to say. You can't control that. So just embrace it. People are going to joke. People are going to question you, blah, blah, blah. People may look at you a certain way. And it's like, hey, just embrace it. Be comfortable in your own skin. And I know you can say, well, hey, you didn't embrace it. You weren't comfortable in your own skin. Well, hey, I'm just being honest. I'm being open. Giving you guys my real life experience. So I'm just sharing that with you guys. But what I also did, it got to a point where I became very curious. And I'm like, okay, is it something that I'm doing wrong where my hair is thinning and things like that? Like, what's going on? Because as you guys know, especially if you're going through it right now, you're Googling stuff, you're looking up stuff. Why this? Why that? Why this? Why that? What can I do to regrow my hair? Does this work? Does that work? Blah, blah, blah. I know what you're thinking about for the most part. So I Googled all those things. I looked up all those things and stuff like that. And what ended up happening was, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me just make an appointment with a dermatologist. They should know what to tell me, right? So I made an appointment with the dermatologist. I went there, and the girl, she did some type of test on my scalp or whatever. I forgot exactly what she did. This was like years ago. So, but anyway, she did the test on my scalp or whatever. And the results came back as male pattern baldness. So when she told me that, I'm like, dang, man, I was kind of hoping it was something else, like some other random thing that was just fixable by using some type of chemicals or some type of medicine or something like that. But that wasn't the case. So I'm like, man, wow, male pattern baldness. That just means I'm just genetically bald. Oh man, just being honest with you, that was my thoughts, But I was, at the same time, I was relieved when she told me that, because then I stopped researching it as much. And to this day, I mean, I very rarely look into it to this day, But to be honest with you, sometimes I do think about the whole hair transplant thing, but that's very expensive. If that wasn't so expensive, I think that I would definitely do that. Just being honest, just keeping it real. But that's very expensive. It's not worth however much. It's just too much money. I'll just put it that way. I can't even say exactly how much it is. It's just way too expensive. And to just get hair back, it's not that serious. But I'm being honest though. If it costs much lower, if it was like 50 to 75% less to get that hair transplant from a trusted source, I would definitely do it. And I'm just being honest. I think if most people had that choice in front of them, hey, you want to have your full head of hair back, or would you choose to continue to be bald? I think that most people would say, I want my full head of hair back. I know I would choose that. That's just me, So that's that. That's how that happened. That's my experience of how I went from dreadlocks to a bald head. I don't think too many people share those type of experiences here on YouTube, but hey, I just figured that I'll share my experience, because like I say, maybe you're going through it right now. Maybe you've gone through it before. Maybe you kind of back and forth like I used to be. I used to really look into it, like, man, does minoxidil really work? I put the minoxidil on my thinning spots, like I said, and I was seeing growth. I was seeing growth and things like that. But like I say, with age comes more maturity, more responsibilities and things like that. We started having kids and stuff like that. And I began to look into the effects of minoxidil, the pros and the cons. There's a lot of pros, but then there's also cons as well. And let me just be specific here. The minoxidil that I'm speaking about is the topical, the one that you just put on your head, not pills or anything like that, but just, just the liquid that you put on top of the thin areas on your scalp. So one of the cons for that minoxidil was with pregnancy, with breastfeeding and things like that. And with us having multiple kids now, I'm like, dang, I want to keep taking this minoxidil, but is it really worth that health risk though? And, so that's how I started to look at things. I started to mature more and to see things through a different lens, I guess you would say. So I stepped away from the minoxidil. I stepped away from the biotin shampoo, the biotin cream, and all of that stuff. Be honest though, every now and then I do look into hair transplant because I'm just curious. Like I say, for the right price, I would do it. You know, I see a lot of good videos on YouTube and stuff like that. I see a lot of good results and all of that. So if I was confident in the results and the price was great, I would definitely do it. But that price is through the roof. Even though the results that I see are nice, the price is just it's not worth that. It's not that serious, you know. So that's my experience. Feel free to chime in. Let me know what your experience is. Maybe you're starting to go bald now. And by the way, when I started to go bald, I was in my young 20s. I'm 37 today. 2012, 2013. How old was I? Let's do the math on that real quick. 37 now, 2012. So I'm about 23, 24 years old. That's crazy, right? That's pretty young to start thinning, you know. So maybe you're younger than that and you're thinning. Maybe you're already bald, you know, or you're just going through it now, or maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever age you are, and you're experiencing hair loss and thinning and stuff like that. Maybe you can relate to this video. So feel free to chime in. Let me know what you guys think. What has you guys' journey been like? Maybe you went from dreadlocks to bald head too. Maybe you went from an afro to a bald head. Maybe you went from curls to a bald head. Whatever it was you had to a bald head, you know, feel free to chime in. I will respond to your comment. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to my channel. Shout out to the people who are already subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I hope that this video can inspire, motivate, and encourage people to just embrace your thinning, your baldness, whatever you want to call it. You know, just embrace it, because through my personal experience, and how many years do I have now with this? This is, like I said, I knew I started thinning in 2012, 2013, and now this is 2025. So that's 12, almost 13 years experience of this, I guess you would say. of thinning. I don't know why this sounds so funny. Of having thinning hair and balding and things like that, you know. So you know, take it from me, just having that experience. It's just better if you just embrace it. Just embrace what's going on. You can always, I mean, if you want to try to fight it, if you want to use minoxidil, Topics, you know, that's the hair fibers and stuff like that. I'm not saying that you're wrong if you do that, or you have self-esteem issues or confidence issues or something like that. I don't want to come off like that. But if that's what you want to do, go for it. But if I were to give anybody some advice, and through my own personal experience, I would just say, hey, just embrace it. If you're going thin, if you're balding, just embrace it. Forget the comb over, forget all the disguise and stuff, forget all the hats and do-rags and bandanas and wearing a hoodie all the time and stuff like that. Just take the hat off, take the hood off, you know. I'm fresh right now. I just cut my hair a few minutes ago, lined my beard up and stuff like that. I'm usually not like this most days. You know, most days I'm walking around, I'm obviously showing my thinning marks on my head. I got, you know, my thinning spot right here and back there, and it's pretty obvious, you know, but I just embrace it now. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I'm very confident. I've always been like that, but this is the closest that I've ever came to not being that in regards to thinning hair loss, and going bald. So just embrace it. No reason to hide it, you know, because the sooner you embrace it and don't hide it and don't try to disguise it and all of those things. Like I said, if you want to do that, I'm not saying you're wrong for that, but I'm just speaking through my personal experience. But you know, the sooner that you just take the hat off, take the hood off, take off the headband, all the stuff that you're purposely trying to disguise it with, just be comfortable in your own skin. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say to anybody. If I could do it all over again, like I say, I would take my own advice today, and just as soon as I see that thinning, just embrace it. Just cut it all off. It is what it is. So thank you guys for checking out this video. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully this video, some of my videos, some of the videos I'll make in the future can be informative, can be helpful to you, can be encouraging, inspiring, helpful, whatever, something along those lines. Thank you guys for watching this. Peace out. Have a great day.